right, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's great to be back in Sayreville. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Governor Christie, for taking my question. My name is Jenny Storms. I'm from Hope, New Jersey. I'm sure my name sounds familiar to you. I was part of the medical marijuana edibles for children during this last year. I know you are everybody's very aware of Vivian Wilson. She's a 2-year-old who now lives in Colorado who was getting medicine. There was also a 14-year-old boy who was part of that. I fought alongside with Vivian the whole entire time. My son has tracing just like Vivian. My son is 14. The damage is done by the drugs and the seeds. You offered a conditional veto for minors only to have edibles. My son will never be able to smoke. Why? Why would you offer a conditional veto?
It's been passed. It's the law now.
Okay,
Edibles
so
are available for minors now.
what happens when my son turns 18? He can no longer eat the edibles because it's for minors only.
Well, let's deal with it for the next 4 years, and then we'll see what happens when he's 18. I mean, the fact is that this program is supposed to be a medically based program, and I have shown already that I'm willing to change it, as I did last year. All the conditional veto is changing what they proposed into what I'm willing to sign. They agreed to it, and I signed it.
Why did you say minors only? There are disabled 24-year-olds with epilepsy who are mental age of 5. These people cannot, these children are on G-tubes, they can't eat, they can't smoke. Why are those disabled people, those disabled children, those on hospice, with oxygen, if they smoke, if they vaporize, they'll blow themselves up?
If doctors come to us, which they have not to this point, have not come to us and told us that this is something that they absolutely need to treat their population, then we'll consider it. But you understand the path this is going down, because now we have bills in the legislature to legalize marijuana. Now, some people agree with that and some people don't. I don't, and I've made that really clear. And we have bills for recreational use of marijuana, and we have bills for decriminalization of marijuana. The fact is, I still don't believe we have a medically based program. I believe that it's working well for folks. When we had to change and brought to our attention the need for edibles, I changed it and allowed edibles. And as we continue to learn more about this program, that was signed at 3 o'clock in the morning on the day that I was sworn in as governor, rushed through the legislature with no standards, no medical backup to it at all, but just because they wanted to pass stuff before I got there and get it signed by the previous governor. We've left with the bag here to try to help it. So we're continuing to be willing to listen to folks who have problems that we can try to deal with. The problem that was brought to me was minors and edibles for minors. That's the problem I fixed. If there becomes a problem, and remember this too, because the legislature made this a for-profit venture and not based in hospitals, which is what I originally asked them to do, we can make it legal, but the for-profit companies get to decide whether they want to produce the product or not. Because if there's not a large enough demand for it, they won't produce it.
Well, the six dispensaries that are allowed right now have to be nonprofit according to the regulations.
Well,
so there's no problem.
What I'm saying is they're technically nonprofit, but if you think there's nonprofit going on there, believe me, that's more of a legal nicety than it is anything else. We wanted it hospital-based, and the legislature would not do that. Because we know those hospitals are there just to provide medical assistance. These dispensaries, in my view, are not there just for that. They're there also to make profit for the people who invest in it. That's fine, that's what the legislature decided to do, and I couldn't do anything to change that. They have to change it. But the fact is, they get to decide what they produce and what they don't produce based upon whether there's significant demand for it or not. If there turns out to be a large adult demand for edibles, I'll consider changes that get sent to me. But here's what I won't consider. Every time you make one of these changes, we move closer and closer to legalization. I'm willing to do it within the medical alley, but I'm not going to make marijuana legal in this state for recreational use. I'm not going to make it decriminalized. I'm simply not going to turn our state into Colorado or to California, where now you have people flying into the airports, going to quack doctors who write them fake prescriptions to go and get high. And that's not the society I'm going to turn this state into. So if there's legitimate medical needs and demand, like the one you're talking about, for minors, we dealt with. If there becomes a large adult population that needs this type of edible, I'll consider it, because I'm already authorizing it for children. what I'm not going to do is continue to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, so that what slides through there is people who are using it for recreational purposes, not truly for medical purposes. And so the law is there now to be able to help your child at 14 years old. If we get a bigger and bigger population that needs to have this once they reach the age of majority, I'll certainly consider changes for that. No one's come through to us with evidence yet that there's a large enough demand for edibles at the adult level. If that evidence comes to us, I'm sure the legislature will send me a bill, and if that's the evidence, I'll sign it, like I signed it for the minors last summer.
But why did you offer the condition? What was the reasoning for under 18?
There was a whole, first of all, because we believe that most people over the age of 18 can take it the normal way. And there has not been medical evidence presented to us that there's a high enough demand for edibles above 18. I can sign the bill, but they're not going to produce it if there's not a demand for it.
There is a demand for it.
Well, ma'am, I know you say that, but there has not been enough evidence presented to me. You're asking me why I did what I did. You can disagree with what I did, but this is why I did it.
Can I have a meeting so that we can discuss it and I can present the
You
information with you?
can certainly meet with my staff and present it to them, but the fact is that right now there's not even a bill before the legislature for edibles for people over the age of majority. You know what the bill before the legislature is now? Legalization.
That's because the medical program isn't working, and they're asking for legalization.
Well, no, they're asking for legalization, and I'll tell you why. They've told me why. They want the tax revenue from legalization.
That's a side effect, yes.
Well, yeah, well, it's not just a side effect, it's the motivation for the bill. And I am not going to turn our state into a place where people fly into to get high for tax revenue. I'm not going to do that.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking for my son's life to be saved.
I
This is
understand.
saving
Well,
my
listen,
son's
I understand
life.
that, but we brought up the other thing. And they said, well, they want legalization for the medical program. And that's not why they want legalization. And the medical program is working, and does work for people who have a true medical need for it.
There is no edibles for my son to date,
And
and that was signed in September.
excuse me, go to the legislature and ask them to make it hospital-based instead of these dispensaries,
The federal
which are in it.
government won't let them.
Well, the federal government will let them do it. The federal government will let them do it. By the way, the federal government says that marijuana is illegal.
Because
It's-
based on 1937 politics and racism.
Excuse me, it's illegal. I don't care what it was based on. Right now, marijuana is illegal in this country. And states like Colorado and California and our state has made marijuana legal for a slice of people in Colorado and California for everybody, regardless of the fact that it's illegal under federal drug laws. The federal government's turning their head the other way. So please don't have these folks in the legislature tell me, oh, the federal government is willing to turn their head the other way to have recreational use of marijuana, but not to have hospitals distribute it in a medically based program. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense if you're going to let anybody use it for recreational purposes, and the federal government's turning a blind eye in Colorado and California. The New Jersey legislature can't tell me that they won't do it in hospitals because the federal government won't let them. They're letting them sell them at a store price to anybody who walks up in Colorado and California. So it makes no sense that the federal government won't let hospitals do it. They're letting people do it. I don't want to get into debate.
My son was kicked out of a hospital for federal reasons just last year with the car holder. So the hospitals are afraid of the feds, and they are not letting children, and they are not letting them distribute out of
The
hospitals.
hospitals are afraid of the feds right now because the state has authorized them to do it. And so we're not going to get into debate back and forth about this. We obviously have a disagreement about it.
I'd love to meet with you to discuss it and
Well,
not miss it.
I'd be happy to have a meeting with my staff. I'm not going to promise you I'll meet with you. This is my opinion. And if you want to present material to my staff, I'm happy to have them look at it and bring it to me. But the fact is that we have gone out, the Department of Health has gone out and administered this program to try to make it a medically based program, which, by the way, is what people said they wanted when we did this in the first place. And what I said on the campaign trail in 2009 is beware, everybody, because the minute they have it for medical purposes, they're going to want it for recreational purposes. And then they're going to want complete legalization and decriminalization of marijuana. And I'm sorry, I've made it very clear since 2009 that I oppose this. And if people want legalized marijuana in the state, elect the new governor, because it's not going to happen under this one, under any circumstances. And this is the slippery slope that we go down. And I'm just not going to permit it. I don't think it's good for our children. And we're going to try to help folks that do. You can send an email to him, and we'll set up a meeting with our policy staff for you to present whatever information you have regarding your son or broader issues on this issue, and then they'll bring it to me. You're welcome. Thank you very much.